With the release of the brand new GTA 6 cover art and Rockstar's confirmation that pre-orders will go live on June 25th, I thought now would be the perfect time to revisit and take a deep dive into everything that we know about the game so far. So today we're exploring the story of GTA 6, taking a closer look at its main characters, Jason and Lucia, breaking down the state of Leonida and Vice City, and discussing some of the most popular theories that have emerged during the long wait for GTA 6. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy. Jason appears to have grown up in a rough neighborhood in Leonida. A lot of the time he spent around grifters, crooks, and many other bad people. He learned from them and began dipping his toes in the world that they were a part of. Jason always struggled with wanting and hell craving an easier life. However, trouble always seemed to find him. As Jason grew older and became a teenager, his problems only worsened. He spent more time with those grifters that we mentioned earlier, and he began to cause trouble in school and at home. Many would describe Jason's childhood and his teenage years as hard and troubled. Jason always felt he could maybe turn his life around, and he would join the military at a young age. Now, Jason maybe joined to serve his country, or maybe Jason served due to his troubled upbringing. Maybe he was trying to shake off the bad he got in Leonida. Maybe he felt like he could run away from his problems, and the army seemed like a promising place to do that. But after some time, Jason would leave the army, and he would return home, back to Leonida. And any seeming progress that he made while in the army appeared to have gone out the door. Jason would move to the Keys and chase that easy life that he always wanted. How can life be made easy? Some say through money, and that's a belief that Jason shared. He would become a drug runner for many local drug dealers in Leonida, and his reputation would grow. However, Jason felt that maybe this life wasn't for him, and parts of him wanted to leave. Parts of him wanted to escape it. But he never seemed to have the strength to do so. And at some point in his life, Jason would meet Lucia.
Hey.
Hey.
The new beginnings.
You break the news, isn't it?
He would fall in love, and he'd probably be quick to say that Lucia is the best thing that's ever happened to him. However, others may disagree. At this point, Jason himself doesn't know, as Lucia seems to have trouble following her wherever she goes, and Jason always wants to be there to help her. And at some point in their life together, Jason and Lucia appear to have hit the jackpot when an easy score comes their way. However, after things go terribly wrong, they must rely only on each other to survive. And that is basically what we have for the story, the lore of Jason Duval so far. This intro to Jason, this self-conflict that he has, this should I do this, should I do that, Lucia is there, I love her, how much of myself should I give this woman, how much of myself am I going to put in danger, am I going to risk my life, and am I going to give my life for this woman if the situation comes. There's an internal battle inside the mind of Jason the man, and I think that this lore, this history that we got from him is so indicative of what kind of character he is going to be, what kind of character he is. He has a moral compass. There's some things he doesn't want to do. He feels maybe not that great doing some things. And I think those are all great formulas for a great character, right? Lucia is a family woman through and through. She grew up with life throwing many things at her, and she felt like the world was against her at times. Her childhood was tough, but family has always been important to her, specifically her father and mother. Growing up, her mom dreamed of a better life for her and her family. She wanted things to be better and to really live the dream that she sought. But things have never really worked out in Lucia's favor. From a young age, she was into mixed martial arts, as her father put her to fight, so she learned discipline and how to defend herself in a dangerous world. However, at different points in her life, the fighting has gotten her in much trouble, as Lucia is quick to defend herself and the ones that she loves. She's fierce, and that ferocity she carries landed her in deep trouble with the law, and she would be arrested after a disagreement broke out. However, the details on this are still a bit muddy, but she would end up in the penitentiary located in Leonida. She would be there for an undisclosed amount of time until she finally caught a lucky break and would be released early and on parole. Lucia saw this as an opportunity to maybe start something new and make smarter, better decisions moving forward. She has a longtime boyfriend in Jason, and the two have caused serious mayhem in the past, but their love is strong, and just like her family, Lucia is willing to do anything for Jason. And after Lucia is released, she is picked up by Jason, and she begins her work in community service. However, she has big plans in store for herself and for Jason. She appears to have hit a lucky break when an easy enough score comes their way. But things go sideways, and Lucia alongside Jason are on the eyes of the law now, and they must do whatever it takes to survive while only truly trusting in each other. Why did she end up in jail or in prison? Well, maybe, I would assume, is that maybe something happened to her father and she saw it happen, she got angry and she went to go fight somebody, and it turned out to be this really bad misunderstanding and she ended up in prison. Maybe she beat the absolute crap out of someone and that's why she ended up in prison. I think while she was in prison, maybe something happened, like she got whiff of a big score coming her way, she ended up getting out of prison and she talked to Jason about it, and then they went on this bank robbery or whatever type of robbery it was, and like we know, it ended up not being the right move, and so now they're running from the law. That's what we're basically picking up from Lucia's life and from her story. I think overall she's a great character. I think, there's a lot that you can pull from this character. It looks like Rockstar are going to be able to pull from the love story that her and Jason will have. It looks like you'll be able to pull from the many facets of Lucia. Like, she's a fighter, she's pretty, she's been in jail, she's crazy, she's a party girl. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can pull from her character, and I think that her character is very layered, very, very similar to Jason's character. Jason's character has this thing about him that's just, it seems like he's wrestling with doing the right and the bad thing, right? Or the right and wrong thing. And Lucia seems more like she's okay with doing the wrong thing more often. Like, she's okay doing that as long as it ends up being for the greater good. Cal Hampton, who is a longtime friend of Jason Duval's. Cal works with Jason doing some drug running, but for the most part, he enjoys staying low-key and avoids getting into trouble. He also seems to be in the same place as Jason in terms of life. However, where Cal is comfortable, Jason is looking for much bigger things. And to be honest, Cal has a pretty cool design. Looks like just a chill buddy who likes to drink at the bar, who likes to get crazy, who likes to do dumb shit. So I think he's going to be a pretty fun character. He's going to be a character that's going to be maybe best friends with Jason, and it's probably going to be a character that we got to help out a lot, and he's just going to be like one of our boys. I think that Cal Hampton's going to be a really cool character in GTA 6. But now we move on to Booby Ike, who is basically a big-time name in Vice City. Some would even consider him a legend of the streets, as he grew from regular street and drug running and turned his money into investments and profits, owning strip clubs, real estate, and recording studios. Lately, Booby has been heavily invested in a young up-and-coming artist by the name of Draquan Priest, as he looks to have a massive hit on his record label, Only Raw Records. Now, Booby looks like he's going to be one of those characters that we're probably going to be doing missions for, and he might be an ally or he might be an enemy, depending on what choices we make or depending on where the story takes us. And I think moving to Draquan is a good choice here. Dre grew up in the streets, and from a young age, he began learning the art of hustling to make ends meet for himself and survive. But Dre knew that his ultimate goal was always to break into the music industry and make it big time. And I think that Draquan and Booby are probably going to be together for most of the game's story. But now we'll look at Real Dimes, which is made up of high school best friends Bay Lukes and Roxy, as the two have figured out a way of hustling the hustlers, and their extreme use of social media keeps them in the public eye a lot more than others. They are entrepreneurs, social media influencers, and rappers. Real Dimes came onto the scene 5 years earlier after a hit single. Now they've also signed on with Only Raw Records, and they hope that they can take the rap world by storm once again. I think Real Dimes is going to be fucking a mess. I bet they're going to be fucking funny and just doing crazy shit. So I'm excited to see that. But one of the most interesting new characters here is Raul Bautista. He is an extremely charming and confident individual who likes high risk, high rewards. Raul is a seasoned bank robber who is always looking to expand his team, and he is on the hunt for the next big score. Raul is a character that really reminds me of the movie Heat, 1995, with De Niro and Al Pacino. I think this character is heavily inspired by that, and I cannot wait to see him in action. And I say this specifically because there's a shot that you can see. I'll try to show it here. I'm not sure if I can, but this shot reminded me so much of the movie Heat. The way that he just kind of comes into the scene, the smoke in the back, the police cars, is clearly clearly after a bank robbery or some type of robbery, and he has the gun real close to his shoulder, and he has like a little bandana covering him, the long hair. It looks kind of like Val Kilmer. Like, obviously the character model doesn't look like Val Kilmer, but it looks like his character with the long hair and everything. So I'm really interested to see where Raul Batista goes. I also have a feeling that he may not be a very good character in terms of like he may betray us, he may do something. I think we should watch out for Raul. And now we have old timer Brian Heder, who was drug running in the Keys during the Golden Age. And many years later, he continues to do the same thing with his now third wife, Lori. Brian and Jason work closely together, and they have for a few years. Brian even lets Jason stay in one of his properties rent-free, so long as he continues to help his business. And so Brian is a drug runner that has employed Jason and his friend Cal. And we're probably going to be seeing a lot of Brian. He might, I wouldn't say maybe a father figure, but he might be like one of those people that maybe Jason looks to and confides in and takes care of. So Brian might be a really good character that we're going to be seeing consistently. He's probably going to be a side character that gives us a lot of missions and things like that, specifically in the beginning of GTA 6. But as of now, those are all the characters and their information. At least that's all we have so far. So we can now move into the cities within Leonida. And we're going to begin with the classic old school, the never dull Vice City, which is described as the glamour, hustle, and greed of America, captured in a single city. Each neighborhood has something to offer, from the pastel Art Deco hotels and bright white sands of Ocean Beach to the bustling panaderias of Little Cuba and the bootleg brands of the Tishwaka Flea Market out of the VC port, the cruise ship capital of the world. So there's Vice City in all its glory, and I'm very excited to see how it looks so many years later compared to the original GTA Vice City. I wonder if there's going to be callbacks. I wonder if there's going to be any remnants of what it was back in the 80s. So I'm very, very excited for that. But now we move on to Leonida Keys, where life isn't flashy, but it's easy. Get your buzz on and pull up a deck chair, but look out. You are right on the doorstep of some of the most beautiful and dangerous waters in all of America. And Leonida Keys seems to be a very touristic place. It looks like a lot of tourists come through that area. There's a lot of open water where you can take your ship and go out to sea and fish and swim and just have fun. I think this part of Leonida Keys, or the Keys, is going to be extremely populated with so many different types of people. I bet there's going to be restaurants, food markets, shops. It's going to be busy. I can see Leonida Keys being a busy tourist place, and that sounds really, really cool. Now, Grass Rivers gives a warning to its visitors. You never know what lies beneath the surface of this pre-mortal expanse. The gators may be the most famous attraction, but there are far deadlier predators and weirder discoveries among the mangroves. And so the Grass Rivers looks like it's far from Vice City. It looks like it's far from the Keys. It looks like there's where you might see the southern folk, and you might see some people that really don't like you maybe, and just some crazy stuff. There's a bunch of swamps. Obviously it's going to be filled with predators like gators and other scary stuff. I mean, it looks wet. It looks watery. It looks messy. It looks rough and dirty. And it looks like you could spend a lot of fun times there. And now we move on to one of the more forgotten areas of Leonida, which is Port Gellhorn, where one can find cheap motels, shut down attractions, empty strip malls that won't bring tourists back. But there's a new economy in this once popular vacation spot. It's fueled by malt liquor, painkillers, and truck stop energy drinks. Jump on a dirt bike and hold on to your wallet. But it looks like it's just kind of run down. Like it's going to be maybe similar to the Keys, but like a really rundown Keys. I got a feeling there's going to be a lot of crime there, bunch of hookers. So it's probably going to be crazy and just filled with like people that are rude. Looks cool, to be honest. Looks like there's gonna be a little small buildings, nothing crazy, kind of run down, but it'll probably have a charm to it that I'm looking forward to seeing. And now we'll move on to Ambrosia, which is located in the heart of Leonida, American industry. The old school values still reign supreme here, whatever the cost. The Allied Crystal Sugar Refinery provides the jobs, while the local biker gang provides almost everything else. So Ambrosia is going to be a gang territory. It looks like it's a gang territory controlled by a local biker gang. It looks like they might be called Final Chapier Ambrosia. Maybe something like that. Final Chapier. Yeah, that might be the biker gang. I'm pretty excited to see that area and explore that area. I like that type of vibe, and I'm curious to see what kind of goes on in there. And lastly, we have Mount Kalanga, which is a national landmark up against the state's northern border. Mount Calaga offers prime hunting, fishing, and off-road trails in the lush surrounding backwoods. Hillbilly mystics and paranoid radicals live far from the prying eyes of the government. This is wild, wild country. And I'll be honest, guys, this area of the map really calls my attention. I love, obviously, Red Dead Redemption 2. I love the Wild Wild West. I love that vibe. It's giving me like a desert area, Arizona type of area maybe. It just looks like it's going to be open, big, mountainous. I love that the color palette is different. Like in Vice City and the Keys, it looks blue, it looks bright, it looks like saturated. And over here in Mount Kalanga, it looks like yellow and brown. And it just looks so damn cool. It looks like there's going to be different types of predators over there, like cougars and things like that. So you got to be careful. I mean, it looks insane, and I really hope that it's huge and open and just a lot of land to like traverse. So there's an interesting theory surrounding GTA 6, and it's the fact that Jason Duvall is potentially a cop.
No. Wait. Wait.
Or working undercover with the cops, or maybe got turned into a snitch by the cops. And there's already a lot of people coming up with ideas, coming up with stories, getting screenshots. Like, they're doing the research on this, and they are pushing this theory heavily. Now, I found a theory from 3 days ago from Sidewind A98, and he states here that Jason's not a cop, but he's working with the cops. So he states here, I don't believe Jason is a cop, as a lot of people speculate at the moment, but I think it's possible that Jason is working with the police captain shown in the trailer. I don't mean working together in the traditional sense where Jason would rat on other criminals to the cop, but maybe the cop sets up drug raids and gives the green light on robberies with Jason's help off the books in exchange for a cut obtained during these robberies and criminal activities. And this theory kind of contradicts the other theory of Jason being a full-on cop. Now, what I like about this theory is that, it adds a different element to the story. It tells us, hey, from the very beginning, potentially, you are working with the cops. You are in association with the cops. And this is how this stuff is going to play out. And maybe as the story progresses, things start to get harder. Things start becoming a little bit more blurred. Lucia might get a little bit more crazy. Jason might have to start thinking like, well, if I'm working with the cops, or if I've done stuff with the cops, can I continue to do this shit that's really bad because they're going to get me, or they're going to get Lucia, or there's going to be danger. So there's a lot of that could happen. Now, if Jason is a full-blown police officer, a full-blown cop, then that would also be a very interesting take on the story. Now, a lot of people believe that Jason is a cop because of the way he is, because of the way he's acting, and some people even believe that due to his background. We know, according to his bio, that he grew up in a rough environment, and he wanted to get out. He wanted something better for himself, and so he joined the military. He joined the army, but after a few years, he ends up leaving and coming back home to Leonida, goes into the Keys, gets in the drug running business. But what if he didn't actually leave the army to get into the drug running business just because he wanted to make a quick buck? What if he left the military, got contracted by somebody in the police department or something like that, like, I don't know, an agency, I don't know, FBI or whatever, and he got placed back in Leonida to drug run so he could get the bigger fish that are out there, to get the people that maybe the police wanted to get. And in him doing so, in him being a undercover cop, he ends up meeting Lucia, and things get a little muddy. Things get a little blurred, like I mentioned earlier. So there's a lot of potential with this storyline of Jason potentially, again, being a cop. Now, I like that idea, but is it too on the nose? And what do I mean by that? We're all guessing that maybe Jason is a cop. We're all guessing that maybe Jason has an association with the police, something to do undercover, something to do with a betrayal, something to do with him lying to Lucia. So what if we're all thinking this, we're all talking about this, we're all making theories on this, but it's too on the nose, and Rockstar knows that. They knew that maybe we'd be thinking that Jason is a cop, so they dove more into it. Like, for example, we see this image here, again, shared by Sidewind98, where you see this police vest, a cap backwards, a white t-shirt, and a man. And you can look at another picture, this one in particular, and you see Jason with a cap backwards, a vest, and a white shirt. And, it's like, it looks like, okay, that could be Jason. And so GTA maybe did that, or Rockstar did that to throw us off balance. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, they're gonna talk about this. Let's do this and see what happens. And Jason's not a cop. Now, not every single fan of GTA is following blindly these theories. Some people are, pushing against them. Some people have said in these Reddit threads or in the comments of my own videos and stuff like that, like, nah, you know what? He's not a cop. I don't know why people want him to be a cop. I just want Jason to be a street thug and, just do street shit. I don't want him associated with the cops at all. A lot of people share that sentiment as well. Like, they don't really want to go that route. But, just like the other half, there's people that believe it. What do I believe? I honestly don't know. I think the idea of him being a cop is cool, but I ultimately don't think that that's the actual case. I mean, again, it just might be too on the nose. It might be too like, of course. I think Rockstar would want to do something maybe a little bit more different. Now, there's another theory going around about maybe potentially Jason and Lucia betraying each other at the end, or kind of having to kill one another or something like that. Now, I like that theory more. I like that ending more. That I could see that happening, but I don't know that it would have to be because Jason is a cop or something like that. The ultimate betrayal, which reads, Jason, under pressure from the FIB or drug cartels, does the unthinkable, where he kills Lucia himself while she still trusts him. Not just that, but he shoots her belly first and then her head, making it the most moral, brutal choice imaginable. The player keeps Jason as a playable character. He erases Lucia's existence, securing survival but permanently breaking his soul. He snitches on the criminals to cut a deal, serving a few years on probation, but never escaping the weight of his choice. He states that this ending would turn Jason into a soulless survivor, hated by many, but chosen by some who value survival over morality. There's no doubt that this is the most morally haunting choice. And this ending here that he created kind of reminds me, it's similar to the ending of Red Dead Redemption 2, where you are low honor and you end up going back for the money. If you go into the cave, you get the money, Micah comes out, and then Arthur just gets shot brutally in the face. And those endings I never liked because they're just so damn bad to look at. They're like, I don't want my Arthur to just get fucking blasted in the face. You know what I mean? And that is absolutely terrible. That ending kind of reminds me of the one that JP712345 created in The Ultimate Betrayal. I mean, it would paint Jason as a very dark character, as a very bad character. And I honestly think if that was a choice, not that many people would do it. I think that would be one of the more hated endings potentially. But then his second ending is called A Heartbreaking Sacrifice, and it reads, Lucia realizes the only way to protect herself and her child is to kill Jason. She makes the ultimate choice, ending the life of the man that she loved to secure her future. The player loses Jason, and then they play as Lucia from that point on. She's haunted by her choice, knowing that she killed her child's father. The criminal world still haunts her, but she pushes forward, trying to survive. The ending is gut-wrenching, but more tolerable than Jason's betrayal. It feels like a last resort rather than pure evil. This theory assumes that throughout the game, Lucia is pregnant. That is another theory that's going on around, that maybe she does get pregnant at some point or something like that. Now, I find this part of the theory a little bit more difficult to believe because sure, she could be pregnant, but like imagine playing as a pregnant woman in GTA 6. Like, the chaos that exists in that world, the killing you do, the high-speed chases, the jumping off planes, the going to strip clubs, the fighting alligators. Like, I mean, there's so much shit that you're probably going to be doing in GTA 6. Drinking liquor, probably smoking. You're probably going to have that option because you had that option in Red Dead Redemption 2. And you can't make Lucia not do that. So it's like, if she's pregnant, then what, are you not going to be allowed to drink as Lucia? What about, you might want to get drunk as Lucia. I mean, so that one's a little bit more harder for me to believe, but if the story does go that route, then this ending would be pretty heartbreaking. Now, he came up with a third ending, which is called No Survivals But a Final Redemption. And this one reads, Jason and Lucia refuse to bow to the FIB, the cartels, and the rival gangs. Instead of running, they fight to their last breath, going down in an explosive gunfight. Their deaths are not just the end of their story, but the beginning of justice for those that they wronged. Their death set others free, maybe innocent civilians caught in the chaos, betrayed allies, and even rivals who were doomed because of the actions of Jason and Lucia. However, he states that after their death, the player takes control of these survivors. Maybe it's a betrayed friend seeking redemption, or an enemy who has now the chance to rule the streets. Their downfall shifts the power, and the world moves on without them. So that would suggest that you would kind of play as somebody throughout the story that you meet, and maybe you betray, something happens, and then when both of our main protagonists, Jason and Lucia, are dead, you get a new protagonist. Now, that's basically the gist of this story, but it's also pretty dark. I mean, imagine having both of your main characters die. Now, no matter what happens, GTA 6 is going to show love a lot to Jason and show love a lot to Lucia. Like, Like there's some people that are gonna love both. There's some people that are gonna be divided between the two characters. But imagine killing both of them, and then you get to play as a new random character. I don't know that people would like that. Like, I just don't think that people would like that. I think that they would want a choice. But again, the theories aren't bad. You know, this theory in particular is quite dark. There's no ending in this theory where both of them survive. You know, I do believe that there is some truth to maybe Jason and or Lucia betraying each other at the end of the game and you having to make a choice. I think your choices are going to be, do you kill Lucia as Jason? Do you kill Jason as Lucia? Or do you betray them and send them to jail? You know what I'm saying? One of those two. But I also think that you'll have an ending, a third ending, where you decide, no, we won't kill each other. We're actually going to stand together as a couple because we love each other and we're going to fight and kill anybody that is in our way. Basically, like the ending of GTA 5. And then I think that you'll survive as Jason and Lucia and you can continue to do whatever the hell you're doing, so you can continue to rule the city. Not really rule the city, but you can continue to play in the city, in this big world as both of these characters after the ending. So you can, tackle side missions and tackle character interactions and do just whatever the hell you want to do, hunt, whatever. I think that has to be an option. I really, really do. I don't think that, I think no matter what ending GTA gives you or what choices they give you, there is going to be an ending when you get to choose both. And I think that'll be the best ending. I think most people will choose that ending because of course you wouldn't want to kill either of the main protagonists that you played as throughout the whole game. Now, all of this assumes that GTA 6 even gives you that choice again. They might already have an ending ready to go and they don't even give us a choice. But I don't know. The biggest theory is that Jason and Lucia either die or betray each other. And that's just something that's kind of been going on and on. And this theory is a good theory, but there's so many other theories that are continuing to do and say the same thing in just different ways. I mean, so many different betrayals in so many different ways. Somebody else commented as well, Accomplished Bug 7598 on Reddit. He stated that GTA 6 ending looks so predictable at this point, especially with character descriptions for Lucia and Jason hinting at it on Rockstar's website. The game could possibly end similarly to GTA 5 where you choose what character dies. And again, I've stated this before in different episodes or different videos. Sometimes it's too on the nose. We are all guessing that the game is going to end in betrayal and or in death, and Rockstar sees that. Rockstar is on the internet. Rockstar is always watching what we're doing in terms of like theories and what the community is saying. They're a big company that always kind of keeps their ear to the ground. What if they're intentionally putting some of these things for us to believe that that's how the game is going to end, but they take a completely different route? Because wouldn't it be crazy if they kind of give it away and we all just guess what happens before the game comes out? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Sometimes I think that it's a little bit too on the nose, this whole Jason betrays Lucia, Lucia betrays Jason, they both die. It's very plausible. You would be dumb not to think that. But what if Rockstar wants you to think that? You see what I'm saying?